So hey everybody, welcome to my channel, and today we have a new launch from Praush Beauty. This is the Omninude eyeshadow palette. So before reviewing the product, we're gonna quickly go ahead and do an eye look. That way we can test it in action and then we'll get along with the review. So here's a close-up of the palette and you would have a better understanding about the colors and the tones with it. So we're gonna start off with the Praush Beauty's P19, which is a pencil brush. You can see how even with the deepest mattes, there's no fallout on my skin. It gives you a good intense amount of product, yet it's super blendable in the crease. So moving on with the P24 brush, we're going to pick up this peach tone from the palette and we're going to use that to blend the upper edges. You can see how easily the color blends. I'm really enjoying this palette at this point. It's super blendable and I'm finding it really convenient and easy to work with. This is also one of my most favorite OG brushes. Next, we're going to move on to the P22 brush. I'm going to pick up a much more lighter tone and we're going to use that to blend out the edges. That way we have a nice, clean, seamless blend. You can see with just a couple of strokes, it's completely blended. Now let's try out the shimmers with the P17 brush. I'm just going to pick up this nice amber tone and we're going to pat that across the entire lid area. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of like a bronzy tone shimmer and we're going to apply that to the inner areas too, because I just wanted like a good variety of colors on the lid, like to just give that ombre shimmer. And we're going to add a pop of gold towards the inner 1/3 of the eye. The shimmers in this palette are so good, they're extremely intense and yet there is no fallout at all. We're quickly going to go ahead and do the lower lash line. I'm going to use a little bit of the shade Dusty Mauve to blend it out further. I'm going to use this beautiful champagne tone for highlighting my inner corner just for that pop of color. We're going to finish off with the Praush liner. I'm just doing a very thin liner for a little bit of definition. So this is your completed look. You can see how beautifully the mattes blended out with each other and the color and the intensity. The pigmentation is just stunning. The shimmers are intense and super sparkly. With just one layer, you're going to get an intense amount of shine. So that was the look, and now let's jump into reviewing this palette. So let's talk about the packaging. It basically comes in this peachy neutral tone color, which I just love. I think it's like the perfect aesthetic to describe the entire palette. And it is a cardboard packaging, and when you open it up, it has a good sized mirror over here, and we have a total of 18 eyeshadow pans inside. So this contains 27 grams of product and it retails for 3,900 rupees. So the Praush Omninude palette is vegan and cruelty free, and it also does not contain any parabens, paraffins and beeswax. This is going to make the palette comfortable and suitable for all skin types. So I'm just going to drop in the swatches and you will have a side-by-side comparison of every shade, plus to see how each shade looks on the swatch. So currently on the website, it retails for 3,315 rupees because it's under 15% discount. And I think that for having 18 shades with such good formulation, I think it's actually a steal. Let's talk about the color layout in this palette. So we have 12 mattes in this. The mattes are extremely soft, very pigmented and very, very buttery and easy to blend. Even if you're a beginner, I think you can easily create like a simple blend in no time. It also has 5 shimmers which are extremely sparkly and intense, and it does not need any base color. It is intense and pigmented of its own. It gives you this metallic sparkly kind of a finish. And then you have a chrome eyeshadow over here, which is a duochrome, so it has a shift to it. So let's talk about the color story of this palette. It is a very warm undertoned palette which makes it perfect for Indian skin tones. Plus, one more big advantage, which I personally love it when a brand is inclusive, is that every single color in this palette will also work across the deeper skin tones too. So the colors and the shades, even for the transition ones which are given here, are also deep enough for it to show on your skin, which I think is like a personal benefit, which which just makes it a lot more convenient for all of us to use. There are like transition shades like this one and this one and this one, which will work on the deeper skin tone, and then we have sand and dusty mauve, which are more suited for the light skin tone. I feel like the overall color story is super friendly for like the Indian skin tone and the Indian eye color, like the typical Indian eye color, and this is just going to be very complimentary on you. This is like a nude palette, except for the fact that it isn't like those boring nude palettes which we've literally seen everywhere, and this gives you a little more of variety and a bit of like a differentness to use on a day-to-day basis. So if you look at it, it does have like your basic brown tone, peachy kind of colors, which are perfect for using daily. And then if you just want to amp it up a little bit, it has like citrine over here, which is like a pop of yellow, and to pair that up with, you have like a couple of these mossy khaki toned greens, which are going to give you that amount of depth and a little bit of dimension to your look without overdoing it. So let's talk about the formulation of this palette. I pretty much played with most of the colors in this palette, and I would definitely say that I am absolutely stunned and impressed with the formulation of the mattes in this palette. They're buttery, but they're not like oily, and they're also pigmented, but they're also not powdery. So it's like a good balance between everything, which is a perfect formulation. It's very pigmented, yet it's also easy to blend, which is going to be perfect for a beginner. Plus each shade blends and kind of diffuses well with the other color, because I used around 3 shades to do my entire crease, and I felt like each tone was syncing really well with it. And I did use like a variety of colors. Like I went from like a, you know, this kind of purpley kind of a color, and then I went into this peachy zone, and then I brought it all the way down to like a true peach. So let's talk about the shimmers in this. You would have anyway seen this in the swatches. It is super intense. Like even though they're all neutral tones, they are different from each other, and there is a good intensity throughout the entire one. You have like your darker shimmers, you have your, you know, the medium toned ones, you have something a little more warmer, something a little more neutral, and you have something which is super light for your inner corner highlight. I really like the way they've kind of like gone with a bit of variety with the shimmers and keeping it all neutral, and also making sure that it's cohesive with the entire palette. Most of the times when I use eyeshadows from Indian brands, I do have to keep layering it to get it to like a certain amount of intensity. This one is not at all like that. It's very comparable to the high-end eyeshadows. It kind of packs a good amount of intensity with just one swipe of application. Let's just summarize the entire formulation. It's super pigmented and it has no fallout. It blends like a dream, and the shimmers are to die for. That's literally like the best thing in any eyeshadow palette, and I really like that about this. So here's a side-by-side comparison of both the palettes. If you look at the Showstopper palette, it's a lot more like darker and earthy with a lot of maroony, rosy kind of tones to it. So formulation-wise, both the palettes are just stunning. There's literally no compromise on that. Color story-wise, if you look at the Showstopper one, it's a lot more darker. It has more of like darker browns and black, and it has like your maroons and violets. And whereas when you look at the Omninude palette, it's a lot more neutral, more subtle, and more everyday friendly. So I don't see any repeating colors between both the palette, which is a big thumbs up. So in case if you already have the Showstopper palette, you wouldn't regret getting the Omninude palette. So I did my eyeshadow before food, and I worn it for pretty much 4 hours, and I have oily eyelids. So when I look at the way the formula is right now, there is no creasing. I also have a hooded eye. So correctly in that folded crease, I do not have any caking, or I do not have any separation at all. So who would I recommend this palette to is that if you're a beginner and if you're just starting out with makeup and you're looking for good quality eyeshadows which blend really well, and they're also going to be good for you to create multiple looks. So a lot of times what happens with eyeshadow palettes is that you can only do like 1 or 2 looks with that at the max. And with this palette, because of the color range of it plus the difference between each shade, you are going to be able to create multiple looks at different color tones too. So whether you're a beginner or a pro, I think this will be a perfect add-on to it. I hope you found my review helpful, and I'll leave this palette's link for you in the description bar below, along with the Showstopper eyeshadow palette too, because it's my favorite, so I have to link that too. And I'm also going to be dropping all the brush names for you in the description bar below, so it's easy for you to actually refer to whatever I used and get the same brushes if it kind of works for your eye shape just like mine. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more. Until next time, bye-bye.